moves mountains. Love moves mountains. Love moves mountains. So do I.
Hello, everyone. This is Devin Sophia, and I'm joining you now from Zoom. I'll be adding this to Facebook into our New Earth, New Education Roundtable group, and also on YouTube on the Love Dove channel. So today, the theme for the New Earth, New Education Roundtable is aligned nourishment. And I know many of you are celebrating Thanksgiving and what you're grateful for. And so being able to really step into what is aligned nourishment for each and every one of us. And for, when we're thinking of this week, it could be the foods and our favorite dishes that we enjoy to eat for this mealtime coming up. And I remember being in Canada in October, and it was their Thanksgiving time. And so they had that celebration while I was in the area, or they were getting ready for it. While I was in an art conference, and it was an expressive art conference in 2017. And so I was learning that, we all have these different holidays. And so we have the holiday of Thanksgiving, where people come together as family and friends to nourish and support one another, and to share a meal. Now, there's also all kinds of historical aspects of this holiday that have positive connotation and negative connotation. So just finding the balance of it all is that it's about nourishment, and how can we provide nourishment for all involved. And so for me, knowing my indigo origins is nourishment. So I have this indigo oracle deck, and it is by Doreen Virtue and Charles Virtue. I know she's kind of taken a different pathway, but she did write beautiful metaphysical books and have resources. So here is the message that came through. I'll be figuring out how to get this so that it doesn't reverse, but for now, it says divine timing. All is happening in divine timing. So if the things feel a little chaotic, a little crazy, a little like, why can't our family get together on the holidays? Or why is somebody saying that that's something to be fearful about? Focus on nourishment and how you can nourish one another in the best way possible, so that we can support each other to thrive in life, however that looks for you. And know that all is working together for the greatest good, and it's all occurring in divine timing. So maybe there's some trigger points that are happening right now, but those trigger points are in divine timing for a greater consciousness of togetherness. That was the card that just like popped out of the deck. Just gonna see if there's any other participants. Not today. Okay, it's all as well. Not yet today. So divine timing. So we had that card pulled right around 11:11. I was reading it then. So about being an indigo child. I've read many books now about indigos, and there was a certain, supposedly time period in the 70s or the 80s where people were being born and they had these characteristics that were very sovereign. And what I mean by that is these are people that knew who they were at birth. They knew who they were. They knew why they came into this world. They were very clear, very, very clear of their purpose. And they may have gotten derailed in the process. They may have been steadfast and have been trailblazers in this world, in this life. Many indigos are adults now, or no longer children, but they have this way of being, and I'm going to say it as an archetype because we can all have some sort of indigo aspect that is there. And so they're supporters of this greater awakening. Some of them are forerunners. Others have learned a great deal and have been supported by the beautiful wisdom of the forerunners with their divine connection to source, so that they can learn how to cultivate their divine connection to source as indigos, to know, like, a modeling. You see that I can do this, so you can too, right? Like Jesus said, so you can have this too. All the miracles I perform, you're able to as well. And so the other card is pray. Sometimes when we don't understand the actions that we take, or don't understand the reason why we have U-turns in life, the reasons things don't always work out the way we thought that they should, we can pray for wisdom. Prayer doesn't have to be kneeling down, but it can be. I've had moments where that was the only way that I could really, truly, deeply surrender into the process, was the kneeling and praying. Other times it's meditation. Our prayer can be our connection to nature. It can be our connection to God. It can be our connection to source. It can be our connection to creator, divine wisdom. Oftentimes when we think of prayer, we think of it as asking for some help. But we can also be nourished by prayer through gratitude. I'm so grateful for you for showing up and being a part of this video, contributing, commenting, whether you're watching it now or after its broadcast. And prayer, that inner knowing, it's connecting with the oracle, the oracular wisdom that lives within us, that deeply resides in the soul. And this oracular wisdom, the oracle, is where we can start to make sense of a lot of the things that are going on in the exterior that are not making sense. Sometimes my prayer is visioning. It's saying, what is the highest and best vision for this thing? What is the highest and best vision for all humanity? And then getting quiet and listening to the answer. When I was exploring different kinds of spirituality, I came across a congregation that said, God is still speaking. So you pray, you don't always know what the answer is right away. But there's a divine working force that's working through everything. And it's revealing what is in our highest and best good. And it's important to feel all the feelings: doubt, shame, fear, frustration, anger, outrage, denial, love, joy, understanding, compassion. And sometimes through this process of meditation, prayer, visioning, it supports us to be able to step into these emotions in the visioning process. You ask the question, what must I become? And sometimes the answer is surprising. Sometimes it's a song. I hear a song and there's lyrics. And sometimes there's a vision of colors, or wings like an angel. Sometimes it's become more grounded. So it's with these pieces of the puzzle, they come together and they're kind of, floating down through the spheres just a little bit at a time. And they kind of just come together slowly so that then we can start to unravel the mystery. It's a mystery that unravels through this process of prayer. In some congregations or in some spiritual centers, it's called a treatment. So oftentimes when people are on their last moment or are in a coma or something, and drastic and really upsetting to many of us, even when we've never chosen prayer, we then are open to the why, asking the question, why do these things happen? And then we can receive the nourishment of prayer, through asking the why, asking the how are these beautiful miracles happening in the world? How is nature able to keep growing back after destructing fires? This, and we may not always understand it, but we can ask these questions. I really appreciate in the visioning process, what must I release? Because I always get somewhat surprised with it, but it also, I get to this place of confirmation. What must I release? Sometimes we get clogged up, like drains get clogged up. And there's, we've got to unplug it so that we can release what needs to be released and start fresh. And so with this message of prayer, even in devastating times, in trying times, we can turn to our form of prayer that works for each of us and allow it to nourish from our aligned aspect that truly knows what is best for us. And there's the aspect of grace with visioning. It's what must I embrace? Now I know, I have a sense of what this highest vision is. And I have a sense of what must I become through it. And I have a sense of what I must release. And then that's when this grace can flow over. This beautiful crystalline light love energy can flow over the body and nourish the soul. What must I embrace? What must I now allow? What must I receive? I did a huge release for myself, letting go of something really significant and big in my life. And with that, now it's grace. I have to trust now how things are going to work out in this new pathway that I've chosen. I don't know. I really don't know. I remember when my grandfather used to ask that question. Ask any question, and it was like I had the hardest time saying, I don't know. Really, I don't know. And when you want to be a spiritual intuitive, you know what I always say? I mean, our human aspect doesn't want to say, I don't know. It's, it's upsetting to the ego that wants to feel so in control. But I was in a place of, I don't know. I don't know if anybody's going to show up to this. I don't know if, I should do a sound bath. But I got this nudge. Get out the Indigo Angel deck. Try it out. See what emerges from that. And I feel like that is the receiving. It's like I got out of my own way so that I could receive the wisdom that this deck has. And the simple aspect of prayer. In whatever way works. This may be a very triggering term if you have been forced to pray by people in your life in a way that didn't work for you. I get it. Luckily, I had a lot of freedom around my choice with spirituality. I feel like I had a lot more choice in my spirituality and religion and all of that than I ever did with school. It's like, this is your classroom. This is your teacher. This is the way you sit in a classroom. Stop dreaming about playing in your tree, swinging on your ropes right now. You've got to now be in class from 8:30 in the morning till 2:30 in the afternoon. And you've got to sit in this desk, and there'll be times when you can run around and play outside, but it will be with other people, and you won't have access to that tree and that safety that you felt in your own space. And so that really pushed me out of my comfort zone. And that's when I received labels like ADHD. And received recommendations like taking Ritalin. Which I'm so glad I had access to my higher self, because my higher self was able to help me do what was right for me. And for what was right for me was to say, I don't care if I'm a B student. I don't have to be an A student. I would feel better if I didn't need to take this thing anymore. And so I stopped. And I don't know, maybe that was my indigo aspect that was saying, I need to be able to see clearly. And right now my vision's getting clogged. And Grace had a way of working out in that situation. I released something and things worked out. And at the same time, I was also took a test to be in a IQ test, and was in gifted and talented. If I wasn't in that gifted program, I probably would have been in special ed. Or if they had all the state testing that they had, recently, it would have been a struggle for me to be able to be qualified as gifted. You don't need to take a test to know you're gifted. If you know, tapping into the intuition, trusting you know what you know. And sometimes, here's full circle, I was talking about I don't know. There was a moment where I didn't know how to be in a classroom. I didn't know how to sit at a desk, watch a teacher for hours, play with my peers. There was a moment I didn't know how to do all that. And so I looked for something external for the answers. My parents, my family looked for something external for the answers. Because they felt that they were doing the best thing that they could. But I appreciated through all that knowing that it was gifted, because that was what helped me through it. And it was confirmation for something that I already knew. I knew that I was gifted. And then something external gave me that confirmation. But I didn't really know what I was gifted in. I didn't know that I was gifted in connecting with my intuition. I didn't call it intuition. I just said I was done taking this route. I needed another choice. And eventually I went numb in quite a few ways after those experiences. Through my adolescence, I had acne, really bad acne, like all over my face. And so the remedy for that, or the recommendation, the doctor's dermatologist recommendation, because that was the specialist that I got to see, was to take this medication called Accutane. And I took it for many years. It felt like probably all through middle school. So there was this moment in elementary school that I was not on Ritalin. And then I get into middle school and I have this thing called acne. And then there's this story around acne, this narrative around it, that people are not beautiful if they have it. And they're possibly seen as less than the ideal. And that was a narrative. That was a story that people made up about it. And so I was getting rid of it. But in the process, I was put on this thing that it seemed like I couldn't even get any sunshine. I had to really be careful how much I expose myself to. I mean, a lot like what we're dealing with a pandemic is, having to be so careful about different things. And then my face would be beet red. And whenever I would talk to people, and my shyness would be like this giant tomato around my face. Like, no longer was acne my problem. What my problem was how like my face would turn red like a tomato. I could adjust the lighting here to show you. I don't need to, but no, this is not happening right now. But how that would be. I remember being in my French class and like not even being able to say the French phrase correctly or something, and then just turning beet red. Yeah, it's because not only was there taking it, but after I was on it, there were still side effects of the medication that I was on. So, and I was an honor roll student, like whatever I needed to do to, like, I learned how to be a good kid. I learned to work hard for school, for grades. Was not a straight A student, but I was on the honor roll. And so school was important to me in that aspect. I also knew I could be strategic and figure out what I needed to be able to pass the classes, or to get that B. But so there were these life experiences, and I kind of just went along with them. So this whole aspect of being a good student, which is great, if that's truly aligned with who you are as a person, that you want to work towards this goal. Like say you want to be an astronaut, and it's important to understand math and science to be able to then be that astronaut. Totally get it. But you just have to look at when it's a cover up. When I have to be a good student because I'm unlovable in my physical appearance, or I have to be a good student because I don't want to go back on, have to be on that thing that I was on in elementary school. So it's like really understanding the whole narrative of it. And now I have a beautiful relationship with the sun. Like I find so much nourishment from the sun. And I had all these stories for me about how I'd be so protective of connecting with the sun. And now there's so many light codes that I get from connecting with the sun. So I really, I question all of that. I still, if I know that I'm going to be out in the sun all day, I'll put on some sunscreen. It's organic, natural aspects, but this aspect of being a student in school and having to do all these things to make myself acceptable to the world. I don't think people should have to do all of these things to make themselves acceptable if they truly accept who they are on the inside. As I accept myself and have confidence in certain aspects of my life, then I allow and hold this light for other people to do that as well, whether they choose to or not. It's this light that shines out and says, listen, I've been through craziness and I still love and accept myself for who I am, regardless of my grades. I hired a tutor. Well, I went to a tutor when I was studying animation and modeling. I took an animation and modeling class, and I had this beautiful tree in my backyard, getting back to that beautiful tree in my backyard, and this beautiful pepper tree. And I wanted to share its likeness through modeling, this 3D modeling, this computer generated imaging of this tree. I wanted to create the essence of this tree through these tools. And I couldn't get it because I couldn't get the soul of the tree. I couldn't share the soul of the tree in that. And I spent hours. I spent so many hours. I saw a tutor. I spent 10 hours, almost a day or a week, on trying to navigate this computer generated environment. I've got this nourishment alarm going off. I have these nourishment alarms that allow me to then, okay, I'm just going to focus on generating the work that I need to be doing, creating content and everything. And then I will put nourishment alarms to say, did you drink water? Did you eat? Did you take a bath? Did you take a shower? Did you wash your clothes? All these kinds of things. I have these nourishment alarms for that. And it works for me. I don't know if that would work for some people, but it's so much better for me than needing to take something that really affected my system. Okay. Nourishment reminder. So on the topic of nourishment, grounding comes in lots of ways. It can be going outside, connecting with nature. There's a beautiful eucalyptus tree outside. You can see it. I can witness it. I can feel the soul of the tree just by looking at it. Just by looking at it, even through the glass. But it's a whole nother thing to go out there and feel it and touch it. That's, I'm getting one aspect, but to go deeper into that connection, of course, I need to go outside and be with it. And then put my feet, and then another level or layer to that would be putting my bare feet into the earth while touching that tree. Is like I can connect even deeper to the roots and the branches of the soul of the tree. And so one way that I feel a connection to the soul of humanity and people, and at first when I was younger, like in my teenage years, to the soul of my cat that I had a cat for 19 years, and he was such an adventurer. I've always felt that he was safe no matter what he was doing, running around, jumping through the hillside. Even if there were coyotes howling outside, I know my cat can handle them. And so that was an archetype that was really supportive for me, because I'm like, oh, my Catmandu can handle it. I can handle it too. So getting back to the tree and the soul of the tree. So I had this beautiful connection to the tree in my backyard. And now I'm lucky to have pepper trees around me where I live too. But that tree, let's check here for a moment. Yeah. So with this tree, and art and painting, I was able to feel the soul of the tree. Not only that, but I was able to feel the soul of my child, my inner child, playing in the tree, and then show that in a painting. I was able to feel all of that. And I took pictures of the tree with my father from different aspects. And, that reminds me of my father. My father's transitioned now, as my grandfather has too. But I had these photographs, and the photographs were of the tree. And I was up in Oregon at the time. So when I was painting, I was looking at the photographs and reminding and feeling into the soul of the tree. And I could do it because I had such a connection to the tree. So yeah, so sometimes it's that inorganic, when we use something inorganic to force an outcome of the organic, it's like I got bounced back within my body. And I'm just sharing my experience. I know everybody has their experience, and I'm not a doctor. I'm a practitioner. I'm a Reiki practitioner, and I'm a sound healer. Basically, I'm a practitioner of sound healing. I value the healing power of sound, how powerful it was to be in choirs as a youth, and through really fundamental points in my life, like going through a divorce. I was like, where's the nearest choir I can join so that I can feel the angels around me? Like, that was really important. And that's getting to the angel, the indigo angel, is music. So art and music have a beautiful elevating aspect, which I've learned in the Waldorf schools, is levity. Like there's gravity and there's levity. And the trees are a beautiful way for us to connect to both that levity and the gravity. I find myself oftentimes liking to live in like up in the trees. So like being up higher a little bit. But with that, I've got to go out and connect to the ocean, or go out and connect to the grass and the hillside and all of those aspects for nourishment, aligned nourishment. So always asking that question, is this aligned for me? Does my higher self see the alignment in this? If the answer is no, you can change the channel. There's plenty of things to watch besides what I'm sharing. But if it feels aligned, then there's something deeper rising to the surface. And you are brave, you are courageous, you are strong, you are resilient. And as I say those things to you, I am saying it to myself as well. You've got this. You can handle it. You were born for this time. Listen to your heart. Listen to your soul. Listen to your mind and body aligned for what is nourishment for you. You will know. You will do what's right. You will. An aspect of you is that indigo warrior. And knows its higher self, knows its connection to source, knows its connection to the crystalline consciousness, knows its spiritual guides, its team, knows how to ground, knows how to nourish, knows how to thrive in life. Knows how to take leaps of faith. Knows how to trust self. Thine own self be true. Know thyself. Celebrate thyself. And pray. Pray in the way that is true for you. Touch the earth in the way that resonates for you. See the heavens in the way that resonates for you. Feel everything. And find your nourishment so you can do so fully supported. Find your aligned nourishment. Trust yourself. Trust what you know, do, and say matters. Believe in your highest potential. And let go of what the human aspect says that is. And allow your true self to show it to you. Blessings. Blessings, beautiful souls. Enjoy your Thanksgiving holiday. Enjoy much aligned nourishment. And be surrounded by love.
Love moves mountains. Love moves mountains. And so too